Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, to season 4, episode 1 of that Pretentious Book Club.
Welcome back.
It's been so long.
Happy you're here.
Yeah, it's been a whole extra week between when we usually get to see/hear/you hear us more accurately. So really, have you guys missed us? I've missed knowing that people are listening to us. Is that like really egocentric? I don't know what it is. I think because
I can't stand that I'm not a part of their lives now.
I can't believe that I am not getting the attention that I usually get this week. I think what it is like, first of all, I don't get to talk to you, which is fun. And also like my only social, talking to you and Carissa for the podcast every week is really my only social outlet. Maybe aside from like my mom's birthday stuff, like that's really been it. So it's not a problem for me, but like, so I missed that. And then also I think I always we get messages and stuff when our episodes come out. And so I'm like, we're not getting any because our like hardcore listeners who keep up with us are the ones who message us. And there was nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're not going to get any new messages this week. But anyway, so I missed you guys, even though I don't know. For me, I guess technically this shouldn't have been that different, but I did.
Well, I missed you too, but I also liked
You're like, I missed you, but I didn't miss you.
No, well, it was fun to read a book again though, because I was, thinking, oh, I'm going to get so ahead. I'm going to read 3 books in the time we don't have to do it so I can be ahead. And I
smart.
did not.
Yeah, I didn't.
But
I for sure didn't do that.
Yeah, I didn't. I saw your funny TikTok about that. It cracked me up.
It was good. I read Northanger Abbey. That's our book for this episode. In keeping with TPBC tradition, we're starting off a new season with another Jane Austen. We're doing Northanger Abbey, and I have funny stories about how that is pronounced and stuff to share a little bit later on. But basically, I made that TikTok and then I was like, actually, but I am going to, if you guys don't know the TikTok, you guys can go check it out on our Instagram or our TikTok account. But I basically was a joke about me procrastinating and just rewatching old shows I've seen a million times instead of reading the book I was supposed to read on our hiatus week. And I did read it in advance. But what is that sound? My dog is like, it might be chewing on the deck. They've been doing that lately. Anyways, they ate 2 pairs of my shoes last week. So we're having a great time over here. And Brownie caught a chicken by the tail feathers and the chicken is fine, but now we're like, great, now Brownie has to be on a leash outside. So
Brownie, no.
I know. Anyway, so I was getting myself distracted, but anyways, I was gonna try and get 3 books ahead. I made the intentional decision to not. I was like, I'm just gonna intentionally stay behind the curve.
You're like, you know what, it's worked out so far, might as well.
You know what, why would I get ahead when I could stay just barely on par
for the course?
Yeah. Anyway, so I know, and next week we're recording 2 episodes at once, so I
see, that's why I was like, I'll get ahead.
Smart.
I did not.
Well, at least you had the intent. I didn't at all. I was like, what if I just self-sabotage?
I don't know which is worse though. I feel like my thing is worse.
No, I think
you did exactly what you said you were gonna do,
Yeah, which was nothing productive.
Listen, don't raise expectations if you're not, if you keep your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed.
You know what? That is something I live by in a lot of ways. So that's exactly where that came from. But anyways, how has your extra hiatus week been?
I've been good actually, because Stranger Things came out, so I've been in Stranger Things mode for 2 weeks.
I actually watched all of the season on accident because Javi was watching it in front of me and then I couldn't look away, and so I never watched volume 3. And now I can't go back because I already know by context everything that happened in season 3. But
you should watch it anyway.
Really
season 3 is so funny. It's like the funniest one.
Really?
But,
I love that idea.
Season 4 is the scariest. I can't believe you were like, I'm into this.
But I don't know what it is. There is spoiler alert, but we get a little bit of laboratory setting type stuff, and I've always had a fascination with that.
Really? So. It's my least favorite part of the show.
Really?
Yes.
I enjoyed all of it immensely, but I have such a fascination with genetically modified human experiments. I'm obviously not in favor of them. I don't know if I even need to clarify
I don't support it.
I don't support it, but I'm deeply fascinated by the stories that revolve around it. So I was like, interesting. interesting. We get to
Mutants and
see
shit.
more of that. So I did
Yeah,
one of
it
the
is
first
fun,
series I finished
guess.
writing was about something like that. And it was horribly written, and it's not even the one. It was pre the first bad one that I self-published, but it was a series about like a girl who had escaped from like a laboratory. So
Oh, wait, I
and then I
want to
have a
read that.
different book entirely that's kind of like that. That's like a spin on Beauty and the Beast, which I'm still working on off and on. But like, this is clearly something I think about a lot.
Well, you know what? That's good. Then I bet like you're gonna have your magnum opus with that. This is gonna
Yeah,
be your big thing.
that'll be my thing.
I love
Anyways,
it.
I totally stole your thing. So continue.
Oh,
You
no,
watched
yeah. I
season
mean,
4 and
that's
you loved it.
basically, I'm glad you watched it too. Then
Mhm.
yeah, it
I
was
thought it was
fun.
like, I'm gonna
Well,
surprise her
actually,
with this one.
the first time I've watched it twice now all the way through, but the first time I watched it, I did not like it. I was like, this is the worst season so far. I was very disappointed. Well, not very. I
Wow.
still liked parts of it, but overall I was like kind of mad about things. But then the second
Mhm.
time I watched it, I was like, never mind, I like it. And now I'm obsessed. And because of course I am. It's like my favorite show. So I'm really excited for part 2 to come out, but I'm a
I'm
little
excited
nervous as well.
also. I didn't realize how soon it was coming out. So when Javi was
I
like
know,
July 1st, I was like, wait, what? So
right?
I'm like
Thank
actually like
God.
on the ball, which has never happened with any show ever.
It's very exciting, isn't it? It's fun to be
Yeah.
part of like the excitement of it.
Yeah, I never
Oh,
have been.
you're like, wow, it's new. Besides Stranger Things though, I've been sewing a lot. I
Really?
have been really, really sewing.
I didn't know that you sewed.
Well, I knew how, but then a couple of weeks ago, me and my cousin went to my grandma's house and she kind of like taught us again. So I like got more, I
Nice.
knew already, but then we just like, I made a skirt and it's very cute and I've been wearing it. And then I also, I had been working on this like shorts combo situation for like months and
Cute.
months ago. And I
Uh-huh.
finished that. I mean, and
That's
then
hard.
I'm working on a new shirt and I'm making a 4th of July outfit. So my shirt is like coming along really cute. And then
Oh
I'm gonna
my
do like
God.
some little like flouncy shorts with it, I think.
Oh my
Um
goodness.
and then I also I bought a bunch of like novelty fabric. My goal is to be, I want to dress like Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus. Like this is gonna be it for me.
That's
So
a
I've been having
great
a lot of
goal.
fun. I'm not like here's what I do. I like to just get into something and then not really learn how to do it, but just kind of make it up as I go and then just
Yeah.
like have fun doing it and then
Yeah.
I move on to something else. So that this is my
Same.
thing right now. So I'm not really like actually following any patterns or anything, but
Uh-huh.
things have been working out. So I'm like, maybe this is me learning, I'm just
If
like figuring
you
stuff out on my own.
are making shirts, then you have already exceeded my level of knowledge of sewing because I, like you said, like I do the exact same thing. I'm like, this will work. I'll do it my way. And I won't actually learn the right way to do it. And shirts are
Yes,
really hard because of the dang sleeves situation and the whole neckline situation. It's very difficult. So the fact
it
that
is
you're like,
hard.
I've made not one, but multiple shirts, I'm like, okay, well, like hats off to you. You've now, I can like wave to you in the distance. You've left me so far behind in the sewing world.
Well, thank you for your support. We'll see how long I stick with it, but I'm having fun, so I hope I stick with it for a while. I want to be like one of those cute seamstress girls on TikTok who like makes beautiful dresses.
That's an
That's
amazing
my
idea.
goal.
Oh my God. You should
So
totally do
who
that.
knows? We'll
I
see.
think
Maybe
about
I'll
that
be a
all the
little
time.
seamstress girl.
You should. I follow those accounts so hard. I get so excited when there's a new dress.
Oh, me too. Oh my gosh, there's this one girl who she's been doing a lot of Barbie dresses from like the Barbie movies,
Yes, I've
and
seen
I
it.
have been following her religiously. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, what she's gonna do this
Like,
time.
what is she gonna do next?
So
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. I love it.
So what about you, buddy? What are you doing?
Um, let's see. So this is where okay, our weather has gotten about like it's gotten like above 100 degrees now. Obviously, you know that because
Oh
you
my
live here.
God.
but
so hot.
it's been so hot now. So like the high for like the middle of the day, like this week all the way through the end of next week is like 106 or 107 next week, which is crazy. So usually I was using my lunch breaks to go outside and like work around the property to get like, I got the trees pruned up and stuff last week before it was crazy hot. I can't do that right now because I will have a heat stroke. So I'm like waking up extra early to go outside to try and get the garden ready. Like, so I've been working an hour a day before I start my actual work for the day by getting up early and working in like the early morning hours when it's not super hot. And I've done it every day this week, and I almost have the garden ready to actually plant stuff, but that's pretty much, I feel like, consumed my hiatus week. I did have an entire day of rest, which I think I was saying on the Scripturian Society, our sister podcast for writers. I think I was telling Carissa, like, that is like the first time I can remember in like maybe a year, like an entire day of doing nothing. Like I just sat on the couch and watched TV, and it was amazing. It was so awesome.
Is so nice sometimes, you know?
It is. I was to the point where I was like, okay. And I have this like almost like I'm like compulsively productive, and I feel really guilty if I'm not doing something, which is awful and stupid. But I'm like, you know, okay. So I've been like justifying it this way. I'm like, you know what? There really needs to be at least one day a week that is like 80 to 90% minimum rest day, like for the whole day, which sounds like a lot. And I'm like, I don't know, Ash, there's so many things you need to do. How can you justify that? And I'm like, you know what? God himself took a day to rest. And who am I to think that I am some God? And so I'm like using that where I'm like, I'm arrogant, but not quite arrogant enough to say that I am beyond God in not needing a day to rest. And so this is how I've been like, actually, Ash, you're keeping yourself humble by taking a day to rest.
Exactly. You know, whatever works to get you to do it. Honestly.
Yeah. So that's why I've like tricked my brain into being like, actually, we do need to prioritize at least one day a week that's like primarily rest. And I've been a lot happier since then. I also went to the doctor and I got some medicine to help me not be so mood swingy. So I'm really hoping that kicks in soon. It hasn't yet, because my mom just called me right before this and I was immediately like mood swing mode. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm very sorry." I had to text her and be like, "It was not you that stressed me. I'm not sure what stressed me." That's always
just
how
generally,
it goes. Just in generally.
Kind of, yeah, I
don't know.
you.
The temperature was like 1 degree too warm in here, and I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's about how it works. But anyways, but it's been a really good hiatus week. And our book was Northanger Abbey was pretty short. Like it was so much shorter than I was expecting. So that was nice. So I didn't have to like worry about rushing it. And I've been getting like some writing actually done here and there, which is also nice. So it's been all around good. Yeah. I think that's pretty much everything for my hiatus week. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually am excited to talk about the book this time around. I mean, usually I am too. I don't know why I said this time around.
You're like, yeah, I hate talking about books.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I don't know if you'll agree with me. I was trying to decide what you would think, but
no, I really enjoed this book.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this book. Oh, and by the way, that's Kendall Shaw, aka Dr. Spoons.
Oh, hi. And that's what's your name? That's Ash.
My real name. It ain't easy being Wheezy. We forgot our introductions. I'm sorry, you guys, but of course, that's how we're starting off the season. It's only par for the course for us. So just keeping again in tradition, because we don't want you guys to feel uncomfortable. What it's like. We want you to know right off the bat, if you're new here, that this is what you can expect from us. And also that if you don't want to listen to our nonsense, you can use the skip notes. And now it's a little late for that, but
it's too late now.
In the future, just know you can use the skip notes in the description if you don't want to hear any nonsense, except for our bookish nonsense.
Yeah, this is pretty much what it's like. So any new listeners, welcome. I don't know if we'll have any, but
yeah, I mean, they all just tuned out. The ones who haven't made it this far with us are like not invested enough to put up with this.
Don't know about this, but thank you guys for listening. I was thinking about everybody today actually, and how crazy it is that people actually listen. Sometimes I'm like still like, what? I can't believe that
still hits me, especially if we get a week with like even just like a few more downloads than our like standard. I'm just like,
yeah,
thank you guys. I'm like
it is truly like so
Can you believe people listen to us?
It is like just so nice of you to listen. And also like hope you, I don't know, have fun listening. And I'm glad that we all get to do it together. So
I
yeah,
know,
it's been a fun
exactly.
time.
Hope you guys
And
enjoy it. We
season
really
4, how
appreciate it.
exciting.
I know we've done
Yeah.
this now. Here we are going on
This
4
is like,
seasons.
what is this? What episode is this? Like 60 something?
Probably, yeah.
This is crazy.
It is.
Can you
It's
believe we read
wild.
that many books? It
No.
feels like I know. Oh God.
The other day I was stressed and Javi was like, maybe you need to give up some of your things. And then he I could tell he was going to be like, what about podcasting? And I was like, no, Javi, you didn't understand. Because
Like, don't
before
even
the
say it.
pod, I wasn't even reading, which is a deep love of mine, obviously. But
Yeah.
because it was harder to prioritize it. And the pod makes sure I prioritize it. And
we actually have to
prioritize reading a book a week, which is actually
Yeah.
not that much. Like some people are like, wow, that's so much. And I'm thinking, yeah, like in my adult life, it sounds like a lot. But like when I was like a teenager,
Oh
that
God, it was
wasn't
nothing.
anything at all.
No.
But then priorities shifted, and the podcast is nice because it's like it puts the things that matter to me back in perspective again, which is nice.
Oh,
so I was
yeah.
like, never say that again, Javi, who didn't actually say it, but I could tell he was gonna. So I was like, don't even think it.
He doesn't want you to hang out with me anymore. Javi said he hates me. That's what's
No,
going on.
he periodically goes like, if I'm in a mood, he's like, do you need to hang out with friends? Do you need to call Kendall? And I'm like,
Aw.
I'm fine. Okay. And he's like, I think you need more friends. And I was like, no, I have a friend. I have one.
Bless his heart.
I
So
know.
sweet.
It's so sweet. Yeah. I think he's excited for Twilight Day. I told him that he could potentially join us for the viewing part of Twilight Day, which is,
Oh hell yeah. Of course
you guys are
can.
listening backwards. That is something in our plans that I'm sure we'll update you on when it happens. But we did Twilight to finish out last season, and it was excellent.
It was awesome. It was great. Yeah.
Now we need a date to just revel in
Javi
it.
can do Twilight Day. Yeah, we're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about the book?
Yeah, let's do it. So usually we give you guys an author bio for the classic. So just to let you guys know that typically that is the case. However, for books where we have already done an author bio, we don't redo it every single time because that is a lot of work. But if you guys want like the full Jane Austen bio, there's a really thorough one in our first episode actually of the podcast, season 1, episode 1 on Pride and Prejudice. So if you guys want like the full Jane Austen bio, you can just go listen to that portion. And the skip notes are in there too. So you can literally just skip to it and listen to it if that's what you wanted to do. But other than that, we're going to skip author bio, which is also selfishly nice because I'm in charge of author bios for classics. So I didn't have to do it again. I also don't know where my notes are, so I would have had to start from scratch.
You're like, I don't actually know anything about Jane anymore.
I actually don't know anything about Jane. Well, I get a little bit, I don't know why, but I mix up, I think because I relate the books so much, like the Bronte sisters books and Jane Austen, I've started mixing up bio facts lately when I think about them. And I'm like, I don't trust myself anymore. Like before we read the Bronte sisters, I kind of trusted what I could remember about Jane. And now my memory's so bad and I'm getting them mixed up. It's like, I don't really trust myself to speak Italian because I also took Spanish in high school. And now I'm like, what if I can't speak Italian anymore? Like, what if it's like Spantalian?
It comes out a little Spanish. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jane's facts come out a little Emily Bronte.
A little Emily Bronte-ish. Yeah. So that's why you guys aren't getting the author bio. They're all like, that's a horrible excuse. This is literally the whole point of the podcast. Go listen to the Pride and Prejudice episode.
Author bio.
We already did it, you guys. We've already done the work.
You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And I mean, as another disclaimer, if you haven't noticed yet, like if you are looking for a really elevated, high class, very serious book podcast, this is not the one. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm sorry that we wasted your time, but I am going to let you guys know now so you don't waste any more of your time. This is not that podcast. This is
Goof Off podcast.
This is Goof Off book podcast. Because it's fun. This is like if you're in a real life book club podcast where we bring wine. I brought wine, and sometimes we talk about the book. I mean, we always talk about the book, but sometimes it's more on topic and sometimes it's less. And sometimes we're so scholarly sounding because we do both have degrees in this. And sometimes we're like, but Edward is so hot though, like because he's so muscular. It's like, is it the glittering or is it like his pecs?
So yeah, if that's your vibe, stick around. We're so happy to have you.
We got plenty of content for you.
Oh, we have it. Don't worry. We have the nonsense.
Yeah. Anyways, there is
all
my
right. So I guess
disclaimer.
yeah, that was a good disclaimer.
Thank you.
A good job. Good work. I guess I will start the discussion of Northanger Abbey.
Yeah.
So
Oh wait, that was my tidbit. I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you again.
Oh.
I realized I started I was listening to like a sermon this morning while I was working on the garden because I like listening to stuff, and like I finished listening to my political podcast. I listen to my podcast in the morning largely while I'm working on stuff outside. But anyways, so I finished it and then I was like, you know what? I should like listen to one of our old Jane Austen episodes, just like get in the mood for a Jane Austen episode. And in our Emma episode, which I think was that the beginning of season 2.
That was season 2. Yeah,
that was our season 2 opener. At the beginning of the episode, we mentioned Northanger Abbey, and we literally go, how do you pronounce that? I don't know. Is it Northanger Abbey? Literally almost word for word, the exact same conversation we had last episode. And I was like, good God, this has been happening for like seasons on seasons. And we were like, what if we just never learn? What if we just never even research it?
I just love being ignorant, you know?
Anyways, that struck me. I was like, no way. And I literally stopped listening to the episode. I was like, I can't do this. It's so a shame.
I actually see the reason why I wasn't sure before I even get into it, I guess that made me think of it. But the reason why I wasn't sure if you were gonna like this one or not is because it reminded me more of Emma than it did of like the other ones.
Yeah.
I think because there are just no stakes. Like none of this matters at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. I liked it because I felt like, well, I liked the first volume. Ironically, the one where nothing really that important happens. But I think because it was like a little more catty, it was like it was like ironic. And like the tone was really dry and kind of sarcastic, which is very different than Emma, which is very like, it's a little bit like sardonic, but it's not the same kind of like raw type of like wit that was in the first volume of Northanger Abbey.
This one was different. I felt strongly that like this one was different than the other Jane Austen books we've read,
very
just
much
in
so.
Tone, and like also Jane's voice came out so strongly, like
yeah.
And it was like I think he was kind of putting on like a narrator, you know, character.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much. I was like, Jane, you are the funniest woman alive. You're so hilarious.
It was really funny. It was really dry. It was really sarcastic. I was actually like, I think what I told Carissa was Pride and Prejudice is my favorite Jane Austen for the story because I'm just so in love with the story and the characters completely. But Northanger Abbey, I think, is my favorite so far to read because it reads so quickly and so easily, and it's so funny, even though, like you said, like it's really just more character drama than it is like hardcore plot events going on. But it's just so different to read. So I was shocked because I did not think this was going to be like, this is my favorite one to read, but it was. So.
I completely agree. I mean, Pride and Prejudice can't be beat story-wise.
Yeah.
And I love the characters, obviously. But yeah, this one was so fun to read. Like, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you, dear listener, about what it's about. So, also, if any new people, we will just spoil the entire book. So if you don't want it to be spoiled, go read it first and then come back.
Yeah.
Okay. So our main character is named Catherine. Oh God, I didn't write down her last name. Moreland.
I questioned myself suddenly. I was like, wait.
Oh, I'll remember her last name. I don't have to write it down. Apparently
I'm not good with names. I will remember like enough features of the character to follow it, but like a lot of them, like in here that we have a James and a John.
Okay, and that was so confusing.
Wait, which one's which? Yes. And then there's like a Miss Tilney and like a Mrs. Tilney. I mean, not specifically this one, but there's always like a Mr. or a Miss and a Mrs. And there's multiple Miss because they're sisters. And I'm just like, could we just first names?
Could be like names, guys.
Miss Eleanor. Like that's fine. You can keep the Miss. I don't care. I like a good Miss. I'm Southern, but let's do the first names.
I was confused this one because we had General Tilney and also Captain Tilney, and it was confusing. I was like, wait, what? It took me a minute to figure it out.
Yeah.
But
when I started listening on the audiobook, I started to be like, wait, characters' names. Wait, who just said what?
Yeah, especially if you're like just listening and you can't stop and like think about it really.
Yeah.
So yeah, Catherine. Right away we get introduced to her as she's the heroine of the story. Like the narrator is very funny and kind of talks to you directly, and the narrator is like, Catherine is the heroine and she is not very
She's like,
conventional.
she's ugly, she's awkward, she's not your conventional heroine. It's kind of like, wow, she's the heroine, really? Like that's the tone for like the first part. It's so good.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like,
and she legitimately is
just
Catherine's
amazing.
awkward. Yeah, it's amazing. She didn't pull any punches. Like the way she describes Catherine is really like, ooh, like her awkward phase was extremely awkward.
So awkward. And there are times where you're like, Catherine, no, please, honey, please. And Jane is like, she did that. And I'm like, oh God. But that's what I loved about this book. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Catherine, she's the heroine. And she there's just a little bit about her growing up and all that. And basically the story starts though when their friends, the Allens, invite Catherine to go to Bath with them. Not to take a bath with them, but to go to the place Bath in England with them.
Do you get the impression that Bath in these stories is kind of like in this like generation is kind of like Vegas, but a little higher class? Because it kind of feels like it is.
Like, oh, we're gonna have a party in Bath, but it's gonna be snazzy.
It's gonna be like, my friend Nicole's having her bachelorette party in Bath. Like that's the kind of vibe that it is. Except that it's a little higher class because you have to have a little bit of money to actually do anything in Bath. But it has the feeling of just being like a party city. Like it's just where you go to have a good time and just fool around.
That is what it feels like. So she's like, okay, hell yeah, I'll go. So Catherine goes. Catherine just kind of doing whatever. Like she doesn't really, she's not really that good at anything, and she's just kind of like, vibing. It seems,
Yeah.
She's kind of imaginative, and she likes to read and that kind of thing.
That's like her thing. She's like, she doesn't play an instrument, like the heroines of the time were supposed to. And she can't draw either, like the heroines of the time were supposed to. And she's not all that good at like writing, but she likes to read. She likes to read like, but not like the nonfiction stuff that would give her like an elevated sense of like intellectualness in conversation. Yeah,
she likes to read novels.
Yeah.
Ew, novels.
Yuck, that's for dum-dums.
Ew,
obviously.
Only stupid people read novels. What base entertainment?
Yeah, exactly.
So Catherine goes with the Allens to Bath. And she's vibing, and she ends up getting introduced to the Thorpes. Yes. And the Thorpes are this family. They have a couple of daughters and a son. I can't remember if they have more than one son. Yeah, James is the son. No, James is her brother.
John. I even was
John
like
Thorpe.
Right before recording, I was like, got it. John Thorpe. And then I was like,
Thorpe.
Got it. John Thorpe. Yes. Sorry, John. Can
John.
I just real quick, you've watched Heart of Dixie. Do you remember the episode where Lemon is forced into this like blind date with this like super pretentious like socialite man? I forget what his name is.
No, I haven't seen every episode.
It's good. You should watch this episode, or at least the clips of it, just because this is John Thorpe. And he gets repeatedly described as an insufferable tool. And I was like, yes. And I just could not stop thinking every single time John Thorpe opened his freaking mouth. I was like, you insufferable tool. Every single time. He is the worst.
I hate John Thorpe. Yeah. And I, even from the start, because we don't meet him right away, we meet Isabella. Who is his sister.
I was disappointed in her.
I knew from the start. I was like, I don't like this bitch.
I didn't. I didn't. This is why I don't have female friends. I don't have a good female friend writer. It's like when we read Twilight, I was like, I think Jessica's kind of a bitch. And you were like, what? And now I'm like, Isabella didn't seem that bad at the beginning.
Well, okay. At the very beginning, I thought, fine, this is okay. Maybe she's just a little gossipy, a little bit excitable. That's fine. I'll totally vibe with that, Yeah. Tell me the goss girl. Let's dish. But after a while, I was like, nah, Jane's gonna blow something out of the water with this one. She's gonna be a bitch. But
yeah, she was gonna be a catalyst for drama. I should have been more. Every time I pick up a Jane Austen book, I forget that like 90% of the plot is relational drama. And so I forget to look for like the causes of that, even though that's literally all that they all are.
You're literally like, nothing bad will happen in this one.
Like maybe the people will be reasonable. Maybe all the women will be completely reasonable and there will be no unnecessary drama. Maybe not all of the men are insufferable tools. Whoops.
Maybe no one will have any miscommunication and everything will be fine.
Yeah. I don't learn my lessons.
No. Next time we were in Mansfield Park or something, going to be like, oh man, this is great. I hope none of that happens here.
Oh God.
So Isabella, I shouldn't say that. I don't know, whatever. She does end up being a bitch, but at first I was like, whatever.
At the first, she
I've got
just
my
seems
eye on
kind of
you.
shallow. She seems to really care about Catherine, really enjoy Catherine, and kind of care about her as a friend. But she does seem shallow. But I thought she seemed harmless at first.
I kind of thought that too. I was like, I don't know that I would really want to hang out with her, but maybe she'll be just kind of annoying. Like maybe it's not that big a deal. But then I was like, nah, Jane's got something up her sleeve. But so Isabella and Catherine become friends, and they get along because they both like to read and stuff. And then Isabella is kind of good at like drawing Catherine in. Catherine's a little bit more awkward than Isabella. Is like, you know, kind of a social butterfly. She's very
and she's 4
flirty
years
and fun.
older.
And she's a little older. And so she kind of, you know, takes Catherine under her wing a little bit and is like, oh, my dearest darling is Catherine all the time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so they're at a ball at one point, and this is when we meet Henry Tilney, and he is this cute guy who
he's delightful.
I freaking love Henry. He and Catherine kind of immediately hit it off. They're like dancing and like kind of getting along really well, and he's like witty and funny.
He's
and
so
like,
clever.
He's really clever, and she thinks he's great, and she's like, oh, he's so cute and also like fun to talk to, and he's like nice to her, and you know, it's going great. We love it for them.
We do.
And he has a sister, Eleanor, and a brother, Frederick, and his dad is General Tilney, and their mother is dead. So Henry is she is
the way you just introduced the whole cast of Tilney family members by name, and you're like, and the mother is dead, instead of like a name.
I don't know her name. I forgot
her name too.
They barely say it.
I do wish that like Shakespeare's play, well, like every play, like you get like the cast at the beginning before the script. I really wish we got those with a lot of classic literature, especially Jane Austen, because I'm like, if I had known these names, instead they were introduced one by one. And so I was getting them mixed up, but I'm like, if I had already known, I would have been like assigning the names to the right characters as we went. That would
be good. A cast of characters at the beginning. I love that. The only book that I've read that I can think of that does that, that's like not a play, is Falling Kingdoms, which I think we'll read the first one later this season.
Oh, really?
They have like a list of the characters at the beginning and like what country they're from and their allegiances and stuff.
Ooh.
I guess because it's kind of high fantasy, so you're like having to keep track of things, but I don't know why they did that, but it's kind of cute.
I like it.
So yeah, well, stay tuned, people, if you want that. So they hit it off, blah blah blah. But then she kind of doesn't see Henry for a while. He's like doing something else, and then she's still hanging out with Isabella. And then
James comes to town. Catherine's brother.
Yeah, Catherine's brother James comes with John, Isabella's brother, and they're friends from Oxford.
Yes.
And yeah, John is kind of
so
annoying.
I cannot express to you how much I despise John. Like there's
so
Wickham,
annoying.
And like Wickham I recognize as a worse person, like morally, right? Like he did like way worse things than John did, but I still hate John more. Like I don't know what it is. I was just like, I could not stand to be around you for a gosh dang second. Like
yes.
Can't
at least Wickham has charm, you know. It seems like a conversation with Wickham wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah,
like
John is the worst.
No, it's like
in every
all
way.
Of the like uncharmingness of Mr. Collins, but like somebody who is kind of evil but doesn't realize
kind
they
of
are.
Evil. Yeah, and like instead of like righteous pompousness, which is like a particular brand of annoying, this man thinks he's like so worldly and desirable, and he thinks he's clever, and he thinks he's handsome, and he's like, look at all my cool stuff. I know so much about horses, and I'm like, if you say one more goddamn thing about horses,
my God.
John.
The freaking horses. It was like those guys. It was like the equivalent of like somebody who only
Car
wants to talk about
guys.
their car. Yeah,
Yes, it's
exactly.
exactly. Which is also like, this is the thing in Heart of Dixie, this character I'm talking about, the insufferable
Uh-huh.
tool, he's talking about his horses. And so that's
Oh
why I was like, oh my
God.
God, this, I understand now. This
They
is
really
an
based.
insufferable tool. I was like, that man could be this man.
Oh God. Now I'm gonna watch that episode.
I know.
The yeah, he's so annoying. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely because he thinks that he's like hot stuff is what it is. And
Yes.
but nothing he says is clever or funny
No,
or smart. And he's not charming at all.
no.
And it's also like, so quickly this kind of becomes like the friend group kind of where it's like
Yes.
Catherine, James, John, and Isabella.
Yes.
And they're all just so annoying. Like even her brother, I'm like,
Yes.
why
As
do
soon
you
as the
not do
boys showed
anything?
up, Isabella became like, I was like, you're a
Horrible.
questionable person, but you're an okay friend at this point. The boys
Yeah.
showed up and Isabella became just ridiculous, like all about James. The second she showed up, I was like, oh, I know what this is. This is I have a thing for Catherine's brother, but I can't be alone with him. So I'm going to try and facilitate Catherine and John being in a relationship. So her dating my brother so we can all hang out together and it'll be like acceptable just so I can be around James though. Like immediately
Yes.
the second they walked in, she's like, and my brother's here. I was like, oh no.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And that's the part that's so annoying. It's because she wants to be with James. And I'm like, fine, I guess, whatever. Like, I don't really care about either of you.
Yeah.
But then she's trying to get Catherine to get with John. And I'm like, listen, our girl Catherine is 10 times better than John.
So much better.
And also her
okay,
own
a
brother
garbage
James
can
like,
is
oh, I
10
love
times better than John.
Everyone's like, oh, John's the best. And I'm like, what are you actually talking about?
Yeah.
And the thing, yeah, garbage can. The thing is like Catherine even, it's funny to me because she's actually like pretty steadfast when she like makes her mind up about something.
Mhm.
But and so she I think she's the kind of person who's willing to believe the best in people.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh, they're my friends. But she still kind of like hates John, but she kind of won't admit it to herself for a while because she's like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
she's basically like, I'll tolerate him. Like, she's never like, maybe I like him ever,
No,
which I appreciate
never.
it. She was never like gonna have her mind totally changed about him, but she was like, I'll tolerate him. And then it just got to the point where she's like, I despise him. I despise being around him. I don't want to see his face. And I'm like, yes.
She's like, I'm going to ignore him if he looks at me.
That's so good. And she's like pretending that like she can feel him looking at her and she's like pretending that she doesn't notice. I've so done that before where you're like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna pretend that I don't know you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. It was very relatable.
Yeah, it was.
And
it's the like exactly like the pinnacle of none of the guys I like me back, only the weirdos.
Exactly. That is exactly what is happening.
Yeah.
Our poor Catherine, she's just thinking about Henry and how cute and awesome he is. And meanwhile, John, this like weirdo, nasty man, is like, so Catherine. And she's like, oh man, this is not how I thought this was gonna go. And so Henry ends up coming back, and then he's like, very sweet and cute to her. And she's like, oh my God, I love him. And then she becomes kind of friends with Eleanor, his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of, forming an acquaintance. And she has plans to go like walking with Eleanor and Henry to the next day or something. Because, that's what they do. They go on walks, which I like. Going on walks is fun.
That's good. Yeah.
And so they're going to go on a walk, and she's kind of like, ooh, this is fun. Because she likes Henry and she likes Eleanor, and she's like, this will be good.
Yeah.
But the freaking friend group is like, oh no, you absolutely must come. We're going on a trip tomorrow and you have to come. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't come tomorrow, I already made plans. And they're like, oh, you rotten creature. But like in us, oh, please come, Catherine, we want you to come so badly, it's just nothing without you. And I'm like, why don't you all shut up for 5 seconds? She already said she couldn't go, but they like won't take no for an answer. So basically John then leaves the friend group for a minute. And so they're like, whatever. Isabella's pouting because Catherine won't go.
Yeah.
John comes back and is like, oh, I already fixed it with with Eleanor. You'll just go another day. Yeah. And Catherine's like, excuse me, what? And he's like, oh, it's fine, I just went behind your back and told her that you
And told
weren't
her,
gonna
yeah.
come.
Yeah.
And Catherine
Well, this
is
is the second
livid.
time because this literally already happened, except
Oh, did
where
I
like,
mix up the times? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
this happens twice though. Like this is how
You're
awful
right.
this man is. It happens twice. And the
I
second time,
forgot.
Catherine's like, I don't buy it. But the first time, John like lies about it. It's like this is the thing where like they're supposed
Yes.
to go on the walk, and
Yes.
then yeah, they show up and want to drag her off somewhere, and she's like, well, I'm waiting for them to show up, but it had like rained, and so she wasn't 100% sure that like Eleanor and Henry, yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna show up like
Mhm.
to go on the walk. And so they get there, and then James and John and Isabella are like, you have to come with us, we can't go without you. And John is like, well, I just saw Eleanor and Henry and they were going somewhere else, that they were going off out of town.
Yeah.
And so Catherine's like sad, and she's like, okay, I guess I'll go with you.
Yeah, she's like, okay, well, I mean, I guess I'll go if they're already busy. And they're like, oh, we're gonna go to a castle, it'll be so fun, Catherine. And she's like, well, I do love a good castle, because
Don't we all?
our girl Catherine is adventurous.
Yeah.
And so they go off, and while they're leaving, they pass by Eleanor and Henry, who are on their way to her house to go get her for the
Yes.
walk.
This
And
is
she's like, oh
awful.
my God, you lied to me. And he's like, oh, I could have sworn it was them. And she's like, well, stop the carriage, I'm gonna get out and go walk with them instead.
And he refuses.
And he flat out doesn't do it.
I was like, this is kidnapping.
I was pissed. I was so mad.
This is something where I felt like, okay, I know the stakes realistically aren't life or death here, but if I were in the situation, I would feel very much like these are very high stakes, because that is like as rude as it gets. Like that
so
could be
rude.
potentially a broken off like friendship forever for something like that. Like it is high stakes, like just like this part. I was so, and like, I mean, Wickham is a lot of things and a very like deceptive, manipulative person, but like John just out and out told a direct lie, and he does it again the next day, basically. Like,
yeah,
oh, he's no moral
unapologetically compass. Terrible. And
yeah,
that made me so mad. You're right, because I guess that's why it's still interesting, because like, okay, nobody's having to save the world, obviously, but
yeah,
there is, I think that's part of, I guess, the thing that's so great about Jane's books is that he's kind of like, no, even like just this stuff that people deal with on a day-to-day basis is important and exciting and can be fun to read about.
It feels high stakes, even if it's practically speaking not really that high stakes. It feels like it is, especially if you're like empathizing with the character, because like for Catherine, that is also like a much higher stakes thing than it is for like someone else. But like, it's the guy she's got a crush on, it's her new friend, like in every way this couldn't be any socially worse for her.
It was so upsetting. Yeah, I felt so bad for her because she literally did nothing wrong. And I was like, oh God, they're going to think she's so rude. Like,
yeah,
I know. Too.
I know. Yeah.
I felt horrible for her.
It's
yeah.
awful.
And then that's what I completely like mixed up the times that it happened. So yeah. But then when she sees them like later at another dance or something like the next day, that's when she's like, I'm so sorry, I completely, like, she kind of explains the situation, and they're like totally nice about it. They're like, oh, so nice, fine, like we'll just go another time, we'll go tomorrow. And she's like, okay, that's great. And so that's when John messes it up again, because they have to go out with her again.
Yes.
And so she gets so mad. And so then I loved it, because she's like, absolutely not. I'm not going to go with you now. They're like, oh, just leave it now, Catherine. It'd be too awkward to go fix it again. And she's like, no way. And she goes to their house and is like, hello, I did not mean for him to say that.
Yeah.
I actually do want to hang out with you.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know why John came over here and told you that I don't want to hang out with you guys today. That's like a bald-faced lie. I do. And anyways, and I just want to be friends with you guys. And you can tell she's just so desperate to be like, please believe me. I know it looks bad because it's twice in a row, but this is not my fault.
I know. And so
I was so stressed for her.
I know, it's so sad. I was like, good for you though, for sticking to your guns and for like really going and being like, I'm going to make it all clear. Because I feel like in this kind of thing, a lot of the times characters might do a like more miscommunication or whatever, but she's like, absolutely not.
Catherine is very Catherine is very like take charge, even for like a Jane Austen heroine. Like Emma's take charge, but in a different way, and Lizzie's take charge in a very different way. But like the way Catherine is just like, she's so, I think also because she's a little younger than the others, so she's just like, she still has a little bit of that like innocent, like naive confidence, which is good, and I hope she doesn't grow out of it. But like, she definitely sticks to her guns, like doesn't waver, and she like goes out of her way to sort out miscommunication, which
She
is
does.
not really the case as much with some of the other Austen
No,
heroines.
but thank God she does, because sometimes
I
it can be
know.
so annoying when
I
there's
know that's the part that
miscommunication.
when I'm like, can we please just figure this out and move on?
Please, guys, let's get past
Please.
this. So she yeah, so then she's kind of like in with the Tilneys now, because their dad is also there, and so then she gets to
Mhm.
meet General Tilney, and he seems to like her and all that, and so they're like, you should come over for dinner sometime, that kind of thing, and it's all
Yeah.
like going pretty well. And so at this point it's kind of funny, because you can tell that she's like, oh, maybe I hate my friend group. Maybe I just want to be in this friend group.
That moment when you
And-
realize your high school friend group is actually awful. And you're like, oh no.
She's like, wait, are they all so annoying and horrible?
Like, wait, are all my friends really awful? Wait, are they like the worst?
Do I like hate
don't
hanging
know.
out with them?
Wait, do I hate my friends?
That's literally what's going on in her head. And
Ah.
so she so then she ends up going on the walk with Henry and Eleanor finally, and they have like a great time, and like Henry's being kind of funny and like, a little
Mhm.
bit teasing and mean, but like in a cute way, and Eleanor's like,
Yeah.
oh, don't pay any mind to him, and that kind of thing, and they're all getting
Yeah.
along great, and it's very
Yeah.
cute. And then I'm trying to think of what happens next. Their brother Frederick shows up,
Oh,
or I
yeah.
don't remember if he's already been there or not, but
I think
basically
he shows up right before they leave for Northanger Abbey.
okay, I'm trying to remember, because Henry's gonna like leave or something, but Frederick, I don't remember exactly what happens in the middle, but Frederick and oh, I remember now. No, sorry. Okay, Isabella and James are getting engaged, so they get engaged,
Yes.
and we're like, okay, wow, big whoop, big surprise.
Yeah.
But Catherine's like, excited because it's her friend and her brother. It's like
Yeah.
that scene from Friends where he's like, my best friend and my sister. And so she's super excited for them and all that. But then James is like writing back and forth to their parents, like, to get their permission and all that and figure everything
Yeah.
out. And so then they are like, of course you can marry her, blah blah blah. And but then it comes out like how much money they're gonna get, like as a living, basically.
Mhm.
And it's like not that much. And the
Yeah.
whole time Isabella's been like, oh, it's of course I'm not after him for his money, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like you're like,
Mhm.
okay, the fact that you're even saying it clearly makes me
Really
after
are.
him.
Yeah, it's definitely, you've
And
definitely
so-
been on your mind.
you like thought it for sure.
Yeah.
And so like kind of around the time that that's happening, Frederick Tilney and
Mhm.
Isabella are kind of like flirting, and Catherine is like,
Yes.
what the hell? Like
Yeah, this is
even
Captain
even
Tilney.
Catherine is like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And Catherine doesn't
Yeah.
pick up on anything. So
No.
yeah, this is Captain Tilney, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
think the
so
oldest brother or something, or at least like he's older than Henry.
yeah, I think Henry's
Yeah.
the middle, and then it's Eleanor, but
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Because Henry, I think, is like 26 or something. And I think they said that at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I think so. I
He's
think
26.
he is.
Catherine's 18. And I'm like, thank God. Honestly, that's a much better age difference than most of Jane's books.
This is
Mr.
true.
Knightley.
Oof, that's a rough one.
Oh God. Mr. Knightley, please. So it could be worse. I mean, I don't think an 18-year-old should date a 26-year-old, but it's better
No.
than
In our society particularly, it's not a good idea.
No.
I think in that world, the gap is not quite so wide.
I'll completely allow it for then,
I'll
because
allow it.
you could be marrying your cousin. It could be so much worse. So
Do the obscure. We don't want to have to deal with cousin lovers anymore.
God,
Please, we
that
already
was
did it
almost
once.
100 years later. Like, what the hell was anyone even doing in the 1800s?
Oh my God, I
Now,
have no
please chill
idea.
out.
I feel like we've
Y'all are
known for a really
crazy.
long time not to marry your cousin. I feel
Oh,
like we knew
God.
before that.
We knew. Please.
Oh man.
Oh Lord. So yeah. So anyway, blah blah blah. Frederick is flirting with her.
Yeah.
And so then Eleanor is like, hey bestie, so we're going back home to Northanger Abbey. Title drop, boom boom.
Mhm.
I was wondering, like, would you want to come hang out with me and be
This
my
is
friend?
like,
And
can my sister sleep over? And General Tilly was like, yeah, I like her. Sure. She can come sleep over. She seems decent.
like, I really want my friend to come stay with me. And so Catherine's like obviously thrilled because
Yeah.
hell yeah, I get to hang out with the friends I actually like, and the cute boy I like is gonna be
Yeah.
there.
And this
And we get
like
to go to a
big
cool
old
abbey.
Abbey.
Like,
Yeah.
this is the best
Awesome.
possible scenario for our girl Catherine.
Seriously.
So I was so thrilled for her.
Me
And
too.
so Eleanor's like, yay,
But this
bestie
is like
party.
volume 2 when they actually go to Northanger Abbey, and it's much
Uh-huh.
shorter than the first one. I was like,
It
I'm a
is.
little surprised that this is what the book is named for, because this is like the last like quarter of the book.
I know. I kept wondering, like, where's the Abbey? Like,
I know. We were like,
where
when
is
does
it?
this come in?
I don't see
I
her.
I don't think I would have named this book Northanger Abbey. I don't know what I would have named it. Even Catherine, just like we did with Emma, that's fine with me.
Ooh,
Like,
Catherine.
but Northanger Abbey just doesn't really feel
It's not
like,
even what the book is about, really.
yeah,
It's
like
very
she
weird.
spends very little time there comparatively.
I don't know. Okay, this is homework for everybody. Tell us what you would have named Northanger
Yeah.
Abbey.
What would you have named this book? This
Would you
is
have
good. I
outsold Jane
like it.
Austen?
This needs to
Yeah.
be a new segment where if we don't like the name of the book, or if we're like, what if there's a better title? Like, everybody send your suggestions for
What
something we
would
can't
you
fix.
name it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody write that down. That's your homework. So then yeah, so they're going to Northanger Abbey, having a great time. They go on like the big carriage ride and all that. And Henry is kind of like hanging out with her on the way there, and like they're kind of being cute, and he's
Mhm.
like kind of teasing her about um he makes up like this elaborate story about like, a friend who like, is basically her. He's like saying like, oh, a woman in your situation like
Yeah.
showing up in a big house and there's all these mysteries to explore and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
which is so her vibe. I was like, this is so
100%.
cute. Like,
Yeah.
he gets her,
He
and
totally,
he's
this
kind
was
of in
totally
on it.
like, yeah, he knows
It
her.
was so cute. I loved it. And so
Yeah.
she's kind of all excited. She's like, and then what happens? And
I
he's like,
know.
well,
It was
it was
good. It
so
was good.
adorable.
He's so plays to her as an audience, like on
Oh,
purpose. Yeah.
yes. He loves that. I mean, they kind of mentioned this at the end, but I think he likes the attention. He's like,
He
oh, she
so
thinks
likes
I'm
the
cute.
attention. Yeah, he knows. He
He
knows she thinks
totally
he's cute,
knows.
and he's so into it. But he's so like
He's sweet
unlike
about it though. Yeah.
freaking John, he's not like, well, I deserve it. Of course, I'm someone's attention goes to me. He like
Yes.
Henry's like, well, this is great. I didn't really expect this. What can I do with this? This will be fun. I'm gonna make her laugh, or like whatever it is.
Yes,
It's
it's very
cute.
sweet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so they get to the Abbey. And then they're kind of, Catherine's like looking around, blah blah blah. But then she gets a tour from General Tilney and Eleanor,
Mhm.
and she kind of is like learning weird stuff about the family, kind of like their mother is dead, and like it seemed to happen kind of suddenly and all this.
Yeah.
And General Tilney's kind of, he gives off weird vibes every now and then. Like,
It's a little
it seems
awkward.
sometimes like Henry and Catherine are a little bit, Henry and Eleanor are like nervous around him sometimes, and
Yeah.
he's very like brusque and like,
Yes.
oh, this is what we're going to do, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so Catherine always kind of had like this respect for him, I think, but now she's sort of like, what is his deal? Like, I'm not actually sure.
Yeah.
And so she gets all these like crazy ideas in her head that
Yeah.
maybe he actually murdered their mother, or like that
Yes.
he's locked her in the tower or something.
Yeah.
Like, it goes off the rails.
Her imagination runs away with her so
Yes.
fast and so far, and she doesn't even like seem to notice or check it. And this is kind of because Henry kind of like did that on purpose a
Yes.
little bit, like he kind of sparked it all, but he didn't think she was gonna take it that seriously.
No.
But this was just another thing where I was like, Catherine is not maybe like the youngest she could be as like a heroine, but at heart and in her mind, she is still like a lot more childlike than a lot of the
She's
other
pretty
heroines.
naive. Yeah.
She's
And
pretty
kind
naive,
of like, yeah, she's kind of just after like fun stuff to do, and like,
Yeah.
what's the next adventure, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Which it's fun. I love that in a character, but
Yeah.
in this case it goes a little far. And
I
so
know.
this was like the most awkward thing ever. And so she ends up going into their mother's room
Oh my
to like look for
God.
clues, basically. And while she's there, she's kind of like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is so crazy. But of course, that's when Henry shows up and
Oh
it's
my
like, what are you
God.
doing in my mom's room, my dead mother's room? And Catherine
Yeah.
is like, and he tells him the truth. I could not
It was
believe.
awful. And then Henry's kind of like, listen, I'm not like really mad at you, but that's a little messed up. And she's
Yes,
like so embarrassed. And I was like, I'm so embarrassed for you. My
it was
secondhand
so
embarrassment was
embarrassing.
like off the charts this whole time. Oh my
I was
God.
getting secondhand embarrassment and I don't
Because
get
it's
it.
bad. Well, it's
It was
so
so
bad.
bad. And I honestly was shocked that Henry was not more upset. I would be very offended if this girl that I thought was like cute or whatever was like, oh, I was just snooping around because I thought maybe your father was a murderer.
Oh my
And I'm like,
God.
what the hell? But
That's
yeah, you're right. Henry was
awful.
pretty much just like, I mean, that's kind of messed up. Like,
Yeah, he was
and
really, really chill about it. I
really
mean, he
nice
wasn't
about it.
without ever being like, that's okay. He was like, well, it's not okay, but let's just kind of like move on
Like,
and not do that
yeah, we're not
anymore.
just let's just not talk about it. Yeah. And so of course she's so embarrassed. But then he's
Oh my
like,
God.
if anything, nicer to her after that. Like he's
Yeah.
still being really sweet to her and whatever. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh my God, he's literally perfect.
Yeah. Well, he like really gets her. Like he can clearly like tell like that she's just really embarrassed. Like you just get the idea that he really understands like how she's feeling and how she's thinking. Like he seems to know how her mind works. Like I was like, this is a really interesting connection. Like I'm not sure
Yes.
I've ever seen like the hero get the heroine like so well, like
Yeah.
so
And like,
kismet.
yes, exactly. Cause it's like without a lot of effort, really. They
Yeah.
don't
They
know,
just
they know
click
each other, but
really
not
well.
that well. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of fun and cute that they just seem to click. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah. And I also love about them that this is just another example of it. There's like really never any drama with them. Like
No,
they're
there's not.
very chill,
I think that's
honestly.
what I liked too. I was like, there was really no like romantic drama. The drama
No.
was like friend group drama, which is
Hmm.
annoying, but we can all relate to. But it wasn't like romantic. So that was really refreshing because I often get, I'm like, okay, what if you just talked to each other?
Yeah. But because they get each other so well, it's like they kind of like, he was like, okay, that was kind of messed up, but we'll just move on. Like,
Yeah.
whereas with another couple, it might have been like a huge falling out until the
Yeah.
end or whatever
Yeah.
when they come back together. But in this case, it was just like, okay, well, moving on.
Yep. Moving
And
on.
so that was, I think it's refreshing. And so yeah, so then she's just hanging out, blah blah blah. They're chilling for a while, and then she gets a letter from James, and James
Mm-hmm.
is like, "Hey, Isabella broke up with me, and she's gonna marry Frederick Tilney."
Yep.
And Catherine is so upset because
Yes.
I mean it's a huge deal. Like that
It
is
is a
so
huge
messed
deal.
up.
And she's like
Um,
staying with the siblings of the
yeah,
guy who, as far as she knows, like stole quote unquote Isabella away. And
yes,
oh my God, it sounds so uncomfortable.
it's so bad. And so for James is literally like, so if Frederick like shows up, do you mind like leaving? And she's like, I mean, yeah, I guess so. And so she kind of like
Yeah.
hints to Henry, like she doesn't want to say flat out what it is because she doesn't want to upset them.
Yeah.
But Henry like figures it out. And so then they're kind of like, oh, that's messed up.
Yeah.
we're out with you, Catherine.
Yeah. They're
And
like,
I was like,
that
damn,
doesn't,
that
they
is
were immediately
crazy.
like, that doesn't sound like him. Like, doesn't really sound like their brother. They're
Yeah.
like, I'm sure it's not. Like, they're really reticent to be like, yeah, it's our brother's fault. But they're also like, but if that's true, it's messed up. Like, there's just like an overall, everyone is horrified with the situation, but like they don't really want to like
Yes.
cast blame anywhere, which yeah.
Yeah. And it's so complicated because it's like Isabella was Catherine's friend, James is her brother, Frederick is their brother. Like it's very awkward.
It is.
Um, and so yeah, so then they're like, listen, Frederick's probably not gonna come back because this is so awkward for everybody. And she's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and so basically, yeah, so it's just a whole mess. And I kind of felt bad for James, but also I was a little annoyed with James because I felt like he did nothing the whole book. I was
Yeah.
like, what are you even here for? I was
Yeah.
mad that he didn't even say anything when John like didn't stop the carriage for her.
No,
I was like,
he
why are you
was.
saying nothing? This is literally your sister.
It's ridiculous. I think that James and Isabella are not like really, really bad people, but they were just so into their own little like plot to get together that they were like, everything else takes a back seat. Like, I don't really really care if Catherine's uncomfortable, because we're kind of just using her as a pawn to make sure that we get to spend time together anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're not as insufferable as John. It would be hard to be that insufferable.
Nobody could be.
Nobody could be.
Yeah, it's so annoying. So then Catherine gets a letter from Isabella. This cracks me up. And Isabella was like, hey, bestie, you might have heard some nasty rumors about me. That is so not true. And also, everything is fine. But do you think you could talk to James when you see him? I think maybe we had a miscommunication.
She totally
Also,
does.
I hate Frederick Tilney. Frederick Tilney sucks. And I have never. Don't you think he sucks? Anyway, it's like going on. And she's like, he's totally with somebody else. And I don't even care because I love James, like trying to fix everything.
Yeah.
And so you're like, this is so stupid. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't work out for anybody.
I'm so glad it didn't work out for anyone. It's so Catherine's like, well, I'm definitely not passing on any of this information to James for sure. Didn't Frederick broke up with Isabella, right? Because she was, I forget if it was like a money thing or whatever, but he broke up with her.
He broke up. Yeah, he broke up. I don't remember either, but he broke up.
And then
with
Isabella's
her.
like, oh, I never liked him. I liked James. I only like James.
Exactly. Like, honey, no. You had your cake and you're gonna eat it too. So she Catherine doesn't even answer the letter, and I was like, good.
I know, I was really proud of that.
Isabella's
dead to you now. Oh, that's good.
And so everyone also is still mad at Frederick because they're like, what the hell? But so then all that's going on. They're gonna go like hang out at Henry's. Like they hang out at Henry's house because he has like a little parish house like in the town, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, blah blah blah. Things are going great with Henry. It seems like it's like, oh, this is cute. But then oh no, what's going on? All of a sudden, General Tilney tells Eleanor that
she has to send Catherine away. It's so
Catherine
weird.
has to leave by 7 a.m. the next morning.
It's awful. This is so humiliating really and upsetting too. There's like this.
It made me so upset.
The Austen heroines have this way of like getting past like their spouses' families doing horrible things. And I'm like, I don't know how you move past that so diplomatically.
So
like I wouldn't let it go. I would still be mad. Like maybe I can still be with my person, but I would never be like, it's all fine, water under the bridge. Like maybe I should be, but I wouldn't be. And they all do it.
Like, how does Jane hang out with Caroline Bingley? How?
I know,
like,
I know.
Now she's your sister-in-law.
Oh my
and
God,
all the shit she tried to pull. That is terrible.
Yeah.
You know what? Elizabeth actually has it great because Georgiana is so adorable.
She is.
They don't have any other family. So, Lady Catherine though. Forgot about
Lady Catherine. See, that's what I was thinking about. That's what first brought it to mind with Elizabeth. I'm like, how? And she's like the matriarch. So like even Darcy, like there's not a lot he can do. Like he can kind of stand up for them, but there's still like, she still kind of has power over them.
I know, but he did stand up to her in the end of the book. So I'm like, look, there's promise. Also, she'll die soon anyway. So, it's fine.
It's true. It's true. General Tilney is kind of like, I feel like he reaches a point where he's like, he kind of recognizes that kind of he was wrong and everyone around him knows that he recognized it. And they're like, that'll do for an apology. And they move on.
Yeah.
He never has to. But that's just part of being a man.
He needs to apologize.
No, he's a man.
It's okay. He doesn't have to own up to any mistakes.
It's okay. As long as we assume that he knows he made a mistake, that's sufficient.
Goodness. Yeah. So he like basically sends her back in. And so poor Catherine goes home and Eleanor feels so bad.
And Eleanor's so embarrassed.
She is. She's so embarrassed. Poor thing.
Yeah.
And she doesn't say bye to Henry or anything. And so she's just at her house, like being sad because her friends kicked her out. And she's like, I don't know if I'll ever see them again, but okay. And also I don't have Isabella anymore. I don't have any friends. So it kind of sucks. Yeah. But then, and I was just waiting for it. I was like, he's going to show up. He's going to show up. Who shows up? Henry Tilney. And he's like, comes in and he's like, I'm so sorry for my appearance. I've been writing all day. He's like, I had to make sure that Catherine got here safely, that kind of thing. And
So
I'm like,
cute.
what way to make an impression. He is so cute.
Mm-hmm.
And of
He
course,
is.
Catherine's mom is like, oh, hello, cute boy. Would you like to stay forever? And so she
It's true though.
it's true. It's exactly the vibe. And so of course, Henry, this gave me huge Mr. Darcy at the end of Pride and Prejudice vibes, though, where
Yes.
he's like, how can I make amends for such behavior? Because,
Yes.
he's kind of like, I'm so sorry about my dad. That was a real dick move. Basically, John Thorpe gave him information. He thought that this is so stupid though, because literally the problem was General Tilney thought that Catherine is super rich because John Thorpe made it seem like that because John
Yeah.
thought that he was going to get with Catherine.
Yeah.
But then now that he's mad because he's not getting with Catherine, he was like, oh no, they're the worst family ever. And Catherine sucks and she's a horrible person and she doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
and so General Tilney was like, well, enough of this. No more people trying to get with my rich sons.
Yes.
That was literally the whole drama. So
Yeah.
Henry shows up and he's like, so I don't care about any of that. I like you and I
Yeah.
think we should get married. And I was like, yes, bitch. Way
So
to go,
good.
Henry.
I
Stand up
know.
to his dad. But he didn't stand up to his dad enough for them to be like, we're getting married no matter what. Instead, they're like,
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait now until your dad approves.
Yeah. They're like,
It's
let's go tell
guys,
him that you actually have a modest income. Like her family's not poor, like John said that they were because he was mad. Like they're very
Yeah.
like middle class, basically.
Yeah, they seem like fine,
Yeah. So
They're
Henry's
not
like, I'll
doing
just tell my dad you're middle
poorly.
class and he'll be fine with that. And basically that's what happens because General Tilney's biggest problem was not that they were like, oh, Catherine's a bad person. It was that John was like, actually, Catherine's poor. And he was like, you can't have her in the family. And I was like, so then I was mad because I was like, he kind of acknowledged that he had been like misled. Like it was the idea, like we all know that he understands that he's been misled. But
Right.
there's no acknowledgement ever that he ever comes to the conclusion that perhaps I should not judge the value of a person based on how much money their family has. He's like, I did it once, I'll do it again.
Okay, literally. Yeah, that bothered me so much because everyone was just like, oh, well, he didn't know. And I'm like, no, it was actually wrong what he did. And he shouldn't have done that because even if
Yeah.
you were poor, if Henry wanted
It's
to
still
marry you, that
wrong.
should be okay.
Yeah.
But
Still
no,
wrong
you
to
don't
kick
get that.
someone out of your house because they don't have enough money. Oh
Yeah,
man.
especially then. Like, what the hell? And so yeah,
Ridiculous.
so that wasn't great. But
No.
they end up getting married and Eleanor gets
Yeah.
married
Mhm.
and Henry and Catherine get married.
Well, I
And that's
think
the end of the book.
basically like Eleanor marries some rich dude, and then General Tilney's like, well, as long as one of my kids married rich, it's fine for the other one to marry modestly. And so then he's like, I guess you guys can get married. It's the stupidest thing. I was
so
like,
stupid.
because General Tilney's never really called out as kind of a dick, and I'm kind of like, he is kind of a dick, like on a different
He's such a
level
dick.
than our like hate squad characters, which by the way, I do think that John should be inducted into the hate squad.
Oh, of course he's in the hate
Good.
squad.
Good.
He
can sit with
like
Wickham,
the
but even
general.
Wickham is probably like, bro, shut up about your horses.
Dude, nobody wants to talk to John. I'm trying to think of anybody who's in the hate squad that like would talk to him.
Maybe what's his name from Gatsby?
Oh God, Nick. No, not Nick.
No.
Tom Buchanan.
I think
Buchanan.
Tom.
We like Nick. I don't know why I said Nick.
Yeah, I think
Buchanan.
Tom and John could kind of like bullshit their little egos up
God.
together. I think they might get along. Yeah.
They're both such dicks. Like
they are really.
They're like, oh, I'm the smartest person in the room, and in fact,
Yes.
everyone hates them.
And they're actually very stupid. And again, they are insufferable tools. They are in their own little insufferable tool corner of the hate squad. It's a very special kind of hate.
Also, did you notice John kept saying stuff about like the Jews? Like he was being racist.
I know. I was like, bro, stop it.
I was like, I'm glad that Jane was like, actually, my worst character is gonna. This is the one who's gonna say so you hate him more.
Exactly.
I
also noticed that.
I appreciate that. It seems like because I guess what I'm saying is that made it seem like Jane was saying this is not okay because it was her worst character.
I agree.
So
well,
it's like that's actually good. I'm glad that Jane was not anti-Semitic.
It's nice, yeah, because you don't really like know a lot about like what the authors believe and didn't, and it's easy to like cast a whole generation of like whatever like the popular ideas were. But this was like everything that's come out of this character's mouth has been insufferable and has been designed to make us cringe and go, what an idiot, please stop speaking. So the fact that he's the one saying things about Jewish people is like, all right, good to know that Jane thinks that those are befitting the mouth of a villain.
Yes, exactly.
Nice to know.
Yeah, he and Tom can spout off their racist bullshit together and be
they
evil.
can have a great time. And literally everyone else in the hate squad is like covering their ears. They're like, this is the worst thing that could have ever happened. This is our punishment.
Like, yeah, they're like, I can't believe Ash and Kendall put us here. We're not that bad, right?
I know, exactly. They're like, no, they need their own.
Like, sit down with him. You are bad.
You are bad. You have to listen to this insufferable nonsense for the rest of eternity. Such a cruel fate. Oh my God. That does sound like hell.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Northanger Abbey.
That's Northanger Abbey. Woohoo! Done deal, man. Well, what was your favorite and least favorite parts of this book?
Okay, my favorite part was when Henry came at the end. Even though I knew it was going to happen, but I was like, I'm waiting for the airport, arriving at the airport with flowers moment. That's what I was waiting for.
Oh,
but I will say, besides that, I think that just generally, I really loved Jane's voice and like the narrator's voice. That's was what I was gonna like say. My other favorite part. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. I like the voice so much. I think it's hard to say like favorite part of the book, like specific scene type thing, but I did like the first volume because it's in 2 parts. So I liked the first part of the book, which was most of the book, but I just felt like, I don't know, it was very there. We got like more sarcasm because a little bit less of the drama had happened. So it was a little bit more just being snarky, which was enjoyable. So I just enjoyed like this, the raw, very realistic snarkiness of the book. Yeah. What about Lisa?
It was very, when John Thorpe lied to her about seeing the Tilneys and then wouldn't stop for her when they saw them. Same. I mean, I liked it because I was like, I love hating him, and it was fun because I was like, here's the juicy stuff I'm get to like sink my teeth into. But it was so annoying that I hated reading it as well. I was like,
I already hated him so much, and then that happened. That's like a tie with my least favorite part for when General Tilney kicks her out, because it just makes you go, oh my God, no, this is awful and embarrassing, and everyone's uncomfortable, and like it's just all because one person decided to be an arrogant jackass. Now everyone has to feel so uncomfortable and upset and deeply embarrassed.
So embarrassing.
Oh, man.
And I just felt so sad for Catherine because I just love it because the narrator spends the whole time being like, and now our heroine's in this kind of mess, and I'm like, this is not what I want for our heroine.
I know, you're like, no, I can be nice to our heroine.
We like her.
Yeah. Jane Austen's like, yeah, no, I like her too, but she has to suffer the insufferable.
Yeah. And she was like, normally you think about your heroine coming back like after, some kind of devastation and like this fancy carriage with servants and all this. But no, ours is sad. And she has one little cart and she's pulling up being sad.
And she like Jane. She presents this like really like comical juxtaposition between like the heroines in like all of the Victorian literature of the time, like all of the popular novels, and then Catherine, the actual heroine of the story. And it's just so funny. It's like that's like a big like that alone is like what sets so much of the tone, is because she's like kind of making a joke of it from the beginning. But also in like highlighting that Catherine really is a great heroine in all these like unexpected ways. Yeah.
Exactly. That's so good. It's so subversive. I love it. It's like it's kind of meta,
It is kind of meta. It's so meta. It's
really meta. Jane is so smart. I just love her. She's so smart.
She is.
And she's really funny. Oh God, queen.
What about least favorite characters? I mean, there's really only one choice for least favorite characters, isn't there?
Least favorite character, John Thorpe.
John Thorpe.
Favorite character, Catherine. She was so fun.
I agree. I'd be hard, I feel like, to have a different favorite and least favorite character.
But I really liked Henry too. I think he's a very cute love interest.
He was cute.
Like I said, he's so not brooding or like weird or anything. He's just kind of like a guy.
Yeah. I really felt like he and Catherine both were like more childlike, not in like an innocent or dumb way necessarily, but just like in like a light spirited kind of way, like wanted to like see the good in life and enjoy like fun innocent things together kind of thing, and just wanted to make each other smile and laugh, like just like very like pure. They were very pure and very simple compared to a lot of the other hero and heroines in the Jane
Very
Austen
pure.
books. Yeah.
And I thought it was so cute. At the end, Jane kind of like because we get a little bit of a glimpse of like what Henry is thinking when he comes back. And she's like, reader, I have to admit to you, he was originally interested because he could tell that she liked him. And that's okay.
Yeah.
She's like, he's not really that grandiose of a character. He's just like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's just like a nice
he,
dude.
like, was not the first one who was interested. But now he loves her. Isn't that great? And I was like, that is great, Jane. Thank you.
Good. This book just felt more realistic on a level. I mean, nothing that she did, all of her like relationships felt realistic in her other stories and stuff. Like she's very good at that. But the characters, the setting, the events, all of this just felt so realistic. I think some of the characters can feel a little bit like different, like not maybe quite as, you know, human and simple and realistic as the ones in this book were. Even all the way down to John the insufferable tool.
God freaking John. I guess that might be kind of the thesis that Jane's going for, because like, you know, it's just the way she sets it up. It's kind of the whole thing is saying like, listen, this is not the kind of story you're expecting really for a story to be like written about in a novel, but it's still great and it's still beautiful and worth telling because and it's like fun, and it's fine to like find the fun stuff and the adventure stuff in like in regular normal, everyday life.
Like any run-of-the-mill normal girl is the heroine of her story, and any like just normal nice guy can be the hero who gets the girl. Like
yes, exactly. It's so cute, and I love what Jane's trying to say with that. I think it's so great
too. What about
a great book?
Quotes? I know it is a great book.
Just even talking about it, I love it more than I did before.
I know, me too.
Favorite quote? Okay, there were so many, and I actually, because I listened to the audiobook, and I actually like wrote notes with my bookmarks this time, so I wouldn't have to go through all of them and try and remember what they were for. But so they were like really, really funny ones that I was just cracking up at. But I ended up picking one. Okay, actually, can I have two? They're really short.
Yes, I will allow you to.
Okay. Well, we might have the same one for one of them. I think it might. I thought maybe you might pick it, but
we'll see.
Okay. So there was one where I just thought it was so cute the way Jane wrote it, but it's like after Catherine goes and it's like telling Henry like frantically like everything that happened about like why she left and was rude and didn't go on the walk with them. And so she's like, and so anyway, that's what happened. And then Jane says, is there a Henry in the world who could be insensible to such a declaration? Henry Tilney at least was not.
So cute and so sweet.
So adorable. Is there a Henry in the world? Because you can just see him being like, oh, she's so cute.
I know. Oh my God.
Adorable. What a great little phrase. I love the way Jane wrote that.
Okay.
And then my other one was when Henry, Eleanor, and Catherine were on their walk, and Catherine said something about, this reminds me of this from this novel, and then she gets kind of embarrassed and she's like, oh, not that you guys read novels, because you guys are probably so smart and cool and don't read novels. And Henry says, the person, be it gentleman or lady, who has not pleasure in a good novel must be intolerably stupid.
That's such a good one. I love that. Freaking John.
So
it's literally
good. Yeah, John was
our
like,
intolerable what is it? It's intolerably stupid. Our insufferable tool is intolerably stupid. That was the phrase I was trying to put together.
There we go. We got there.
Ooh, we got there. Okay, my favorite quote is actually not either of those, but I did love both of those. Like those definitely rank in top favorite quotes from the book. My quote comes from page 36 and 37, and I have the Penguin Classics cloth bound edition. It's the only, the Jane Austen series is the only one I have like specific types of copies I've been collecting over time. So I'm excited. So this, I think, I'm trying to remember, I think I got this one from a thrift books. Yeah, it's got like some stains on the cover. So I think I got this one either from half price books or thrift books, because I found a bunch of them at half price books one time. Anyways, that's so not the point. Okay, so it's in chapter 5 of volume 1. and it goes from either page, but this is also about novels. And so it's basically talking about like when young women who read novels are having to have a conversation with someone who like only reads like nonfiction, because novels are considered like the trash entertainment of the day, which is so stupid. Anyways, so here's the quote. Such is the common cant. And what are you reading, miss? Oh, it is only a novel, replies the young lady, while she lays down her book with affected indifference or momentary shame. It is only Cecilia or Camilla or Belinda, or in short, only some work in which the greatest powers of the mind are displayed, in which the most thorough knowledge of human nature, the happiest delineation of its varieties, the liveliest effusions of wit and humor are conveyed to the world in the best chosen language. Which I just loved, because it's this thing that everyone is making so little of, but like, oh, it's just only everything in the world that could be awesome.
Yes, that was
So
Jane's mic
good.
drop. Truly,
it really was her mic drop, and I love it when an author gives us a good mic drop moment.
Yes.
And I was just like, yes, 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 yes. We don't really have that in like society now, and now people who read or anything are considered like kind of like intellectual like nerds, which is very funny to me, because it would not be. Could you imagine like the people who like read like a steamy like fairy romance novel, like a spicy book a day? Because there are the ones who read like spicy books all the time. These people, like, they're still considered like book nerds in our society.
yes, yeah.
Could you even imagine what they would be considered back then? For reading Northanger Abbey back then, I would have been considered like a silly, empty-headed woman, which is just hysterical to me.
Why I love Jane, because she's like, oh, only silly, empty-headed women, quote unquote, are reading this. Well, I'm just gonna spout all of my girl power shit in my books, and it's gonna be awesome. And girls for hundreds of years after me are gonna still be loving it. And I'm like, God, you are an icon. You are the moment. You will never not be famous, Jane Austen.
Yeah, she's like, someday two women are going to create their own platform specifically to talk about how much they agree with all of this bullshit. I mean, it's not bullshit, but they're gonna bullshit about it.
Oh God, I love you, Jane Austen.
I love you, Jane. You are inspiration.
I want to be her friend.
She's the wind beneath my wings.
She is. She's amazing.
Anyways,
well, that was fun.
That was fun. Oh, we have to rate it. How many pinkies up would you give this book?
Oh, okay. Originally, I was going to give it 4 because I really liked it, but I was like, you know, it's good. I really enjoyed it. But now, after we've been talking about it more, I'm going to give it 4.5.
Literally the exact same from start to finish. Your statement was my statement.
What?
So 100% just echoing. Yeah, because I was like, I'm gonna give it a 4, and then after talking about it, I was like, actually, it has to be a 4.5. So and also 4.5. So it's a very solid 4.5.
Wow, we're like on the same page about everything today. We
are.
Like had all the same opinions. Love that for us.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. We'll see. Well, I forget, what are we reading next week? That actually brings us to, I wonder if this is gonna happen next week.
Well, okay, let me look real quick.
Yeah, it might be Name of the Star.
Oh, it is Name of the Star. Yeah.
Does it say who recommended it?
Book rec from Catherine S.
Oh, that's from our thank you. I think that's our like Instagram friend, Catherine. So next week we'll be reading Name of the Star, which is one of my favorites, actually. I haven't read it in a long time, but I've only read it once, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's like a kind of like a ghosty Jack the Ripper type thing, if I remember correctly. It's YA. Ooh. I so loved it. It's a great rec. I'm so glad that we're doing it. I wonder if we will agree next week. We'll see. I feel like when it comes to contemporary stuff, we tend to disagree when it comes to love interests. True. I don't remember anything except the vaguest concept of the book, and that I really liked it because of my goldfish memory. So it's going to be pretty much like I'm reading it for the first time. So that's what we'll do next week. You guys can join us then for that. It'll be a good time. I'm excited. And then we're going to be recording 2 episodes in a row. So just expect that the next 2 episodes are going to be a little nonsensical, because we always get a little wild when we have to record 2 at once.
We do. We get a little silly. Johnny Tremaine is going to be a crazy episode if we're recording a section.
Johnny Tremaine is going to be a wild episode.
It is going to be wild.
I feel like is that the one that we're doing after Name of the Star?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness.
And it's one of my favorite childhood books. So
I know. I was kind of like, I kind of want to see Kendall lit while she's doing that.
I would love to talk drunkenly about Johnny Tremaine. I would love nothing more. I know you would.
Well, if you want to come over, we can totally do. I mean, I guess you could actually just do that in your own home over remote recording too, but you're welcome to come over since we have to record too.
Okay,
but we're just making our plans in front of you guys.
We
hide nothing from you.
No, we don't.
We really don't actually. You guys are like, they only put their best foot forward in front of us. No. You guys, you get all the dirt. This is all we got. This is all our feet. So
oh God.
Well, everyone's like, please stop talking about your feet.
Yeah, seriously, they're like, okay, podcast. Ew, gross. That's on our OnlyFans. Just kidding. Cut that. So
no.
Well, God. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Northanger Abbey. Next season we will do another Jane book.
Yes.
So yeah. I love you guys so much. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us again for season 4. We're so excited. We have so many good books for this season. I am so excited, and it is just packed full of listener recommendations. So that's all thanks to you guys. So you guys really picked most, if not all of our reading lists for this season. So thank you guys so much. Keep sending the book recs and whatever else you want. We love, like I said before, getting messages from you guys about the episodes that we put out. I know a lot of you guys have said it feels like you're having a conversation with us. When you guys message us, it really does feel like we're all in a book club together. So like, feel free, even if you're like, well, is this on topic enough? Will they care? It's not really a book rec, or it doesn't really feel on topic. We still want to hear it. Don't worry. Like we really enjoy it. So feel free to reach out with whatever your thoughts are, book recs and stuff. We're always building our next season's reading list. So we are working on that for season 5, even though we just started season 4, because you guys are just that wonderful and you have that much wonderful content for us. So if you guys want to keep up with us during the week, you certainly can. And like I said, you can message us on Instagram and TikTok. We're That Pretentious Book Club. You can also email us at contact@storysirenstudio.com. That's our production company. If you want to check out some of our merch and support the pod, you can totally do that at storysirenstudio.com, or you can go to Patreon and support us there. Actually, I have to give a shout out to my infant niece, Grayson Ann, is a Patreon supporter now.
Oh my God, great.
Oh my God. Yeah. So my sister, Madison, who actually does all of our graphics, I guess she decided to sign up for our Patreon. She says that her and Grayson love to listen to us, and that Grayson gets excited when she hears our voices now because they listen to us a lot.
Hi,
so
baby,
that's
Gray.
exciting. Yeah. So that's fun, but you guys can go check it out. There's lots of cool extra content on Patreon, and we're actually putting up our video episodes on Patreon for you guys too. So if you're like, I wonder what they look like when they're talking, not great, but you guys can watch. You can see what we look like. I like to think we're expressive. Am I wearing makeup right now? I did put on lip gloss for you guys. So if you guys want to see, I just like kissed into the microphone. Thank you. I just occurred to me that I'm wearing exactly what I was wearing when I recorded an episode for the Scripturian Society with Carissa. So if you do listen to that podcast, those episodes go up on YouTube. So they were not recorded the same day. I just am a slob, and I have been re-wearing like the same 2 pairs of clothes all week, which is not great.
Great. Amazing.
I say it out loud, and I'm a little more ashamed of that than I thought I was going to be. But
oh wait, that's actually embarrassing.
Oh wait, actually that's embarrassing. But yeah, so if you guys want to see it all, you certainly can. It is all on the Patreon. But yeah, so if there's something you guys want us to talk about specifically on the episodes or Patreon or whatever it is you want to see or hear from us, please let us know. We want to do what you guys want us to do. And I think that's everything I got for you guys. So please rate us below. We like to see what you guys like and that you guys are enjoying the pod, and it helps us grow the pod. We have some fun, cool stuff coming for you guys. So yeah, reach out, talk to us. Thank you for being here. And until next week, keep your teacups full,
your pinkies high,
and your book club
pretentious.